Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome to another subscriber craft review in From the Depths, the vehicle designer of. Now we've got another twofer today and I know what you're thinking. Well, I can guess what you're thinking. Any number of things? BorderWise, are you reviewing two ships at once again? Why are you doing that? Shouldn't each ship get its own time in the spotlight, free of distractions? Well, that would be a good idea, except the subscriber list has gotten a little bit longer. It's got almost 20 vehicles on it now, and there's no way I can keep up if I just do one vehicle at a time. So yeah, I'm doing multiple ones. And the other thing... we'll get to that in a second. So, the vehicles today are the Octavia by Xenodragon. Thank you for being so patient. This one has been on the shelf for quite some time. And the Wyvern by Razul. And here is where I would guess what you're trying to think again. Blech, I really need to script these better. You're thinking, like, hang on, didn't you review something by Razul before? Like, the Lancer? Why are you doing him again? Well, I was going through, because the Octavia was next on the list, I was going through the big list and thinking, like, okay, so what's another ship that is actually quite similar to the Octavia that I can compare and contrast it with? Because, heads up, both of these are very good ships. There's not an awful lot to fault with either of them. So, in that respect, the review will be a bit short otherwise. So, I'm just going to be comparing and contrasting the two, because, yeah, that's kind of how we learn. And both of these are actually quite similar to craft. They're both APS using... what would you call them? I guess you could call them... of course, someone in the comments is going to correct me on this. These are like cruiserweight things. I think Razul actually did describe the Wyvern as... Wyvern, depends on how you pronounce it. He did describe the Wyvern as a cruiser, or a heavy cruiser, I guess. Incidentally, this Wyvern is not to be confused with the Scarlet Dawn Wyvern, which is this thing right here. So, what to talk about with these? Well, as I said, they're both reasonably similar ships. Let's go over the Octavia first, because I've been chatting with Razul on and off about the Wyvern. He's very proud of it, and rightly so, spent a lot of time of it. But let's start with the Octavia. What is this thing? Well, this is a combined gun and missile cruiser. It is quite... It leans a little bit more towards missiles than it does towards cannons, because although it's got three quite good cannons, actually. Let's turn the UI back on. What has it got? It's got a lot of missiles. It's got these... Interesting. These are... If I had to guess, these are... Hang on a minute. See, when I'm actually doing these things on camera, it's always interesting because I always find... Oh, for crying out. I always find something that I'd never found before. So where is your weapon controller? I believe it is... What? Really? Really? Where are ye? Bloody hell. Oh, here it is. Aha, aha. Minimum altitude. Okay, so this kind of missile is something that I've occasionally experimented with myself, and the reason it's got an APN guidance instead of, like, a target prediction guidance is because APN is much better against really fast targets, because it just gradually ensures a constant bearing rather than trying to predict where exactly the thing's going to end up. Which means with anything going over 100 meters per second, that's a lot better. So, points to you, Xenodragon, for those. They actually can work quite well. Over here is the main draw of the thing. It's a lot of missiles in the front, a lot of torpedoes in here, and these things are very pretty to look at, actually, because they're launched vertically, and they kind of arc down into the water. Like, I think they have a minimum range on them. I am not sure. I will... 1, 2, 3... I think I will check that. For... If I had to guess, I'd say, aha! So, maximum altitude. Nope, so no minimum range. But these things arc up tremendously nicely, so... I think, hang on. Are these... That's a problem. So those are... clearly not meant to, oh shit. Clearly not meant to be fired by the player. They work absolutely fine in the tests I did before, I should mention. Okay, that's a good start. Well done, me. But yeah, it has these things right here. It's got missiles, it's got torpedoes. It has these as well, which is... I think it actually had these, like... I really hope this is the latest version of the Octavia as well. I would have re-downloaded it, but Steam is acting up yet again. And this is a anti-missile cannon controller. So, I think Xenodragon made this long before I did a video on it, but yeah, it's got a little simple weapon, simple laser CWIZ, as we call it, which is quite cute. It's not the most effective thing in the world, but you know what? There's not much stuff you could stick there anyway, so yeah, you might as well put that there. What else has it got? It's got all kinds of features. It has hydrofoil pods on either side, which is great for stabilizing the craft. It has a relies quite heavily on PIDs, as you can see by all the propellers cunningly hidden underneath the hull. Bottom of the hull's wood. Who would have thunk? So what else? What else? It does have a rather honking big steam engine in the middle, so this thing is a bit of a power-hungry beast, or at least it looks big. It's got a lot of boilers. What a cunning way of using it, actually. So where is the boiler controller thing? If I was a boiler controller thing, where would I be? It's a gearbox. Huh. Are there no boilers on here? Ah, there's the steam control. Dun 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 dun. So this can create over 12,000 power. Close to 1300, I think, so. So yeah, it's a hefty steam engine. It's got, what else is here? This looks like... Yeah, this is a quite cunning big engine. It's a quite an efficient one too, by the looks of it, because it's got turbochargers and uses carburetors. As opposed to what I do 9 times out of 10, which is just have a massive injector engine, because I'm lazy and those are really easy to make. So, yeah, it's got big engines. That does eat materials quite dramatically. In fact, if I turn off resource collection, you can see how fast materials are going down on this, and we're not even in combat. So, yeah, slight issue with that. What else, what else? It's got big guns, and it cannot lie. And I believe... pretty much all of these are shaped charge. Well, except for a few. I think, yeah, like, all these turrets, I believe, are a mixture of shaped charge and hash. So if we go look there, pretty standard. I've been told that you don't really need to bother with inertial fuses on squash head shells, because honestly, it's not that helpful if it hits a shield anyway, and if it hits armor, it, like, explodes no matter what. So, you could easily replace that with another warhead. Not an issue. Well, kind of an issue. It's just a little efficiency tweak. But in any case, so it's got big guns. Dun 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 dun. That's basically it for the Octavia in terms of cool features. It's very pretty. It's got flags and stuff all over it. I like these little pods here. They look... it means the ship doesn't look like a real-world warship. It looks kind of futuristic. I kind of like that. And also quite tanky. A lot of repair bots, lots of armor. So you can see there's an air gap in here, just specifically to fool presumably hash shells. And there's another air gap with repair bots. So yeah, heat is not the way to deal with this thing, evidently. So we're going to move on to the Wyvern, and the Wyvern is similar in a few ways, but oh yeah, the Octavia does have a LAM system. We'll get back to that. The Wyvern has a really, really impressive LAM system. You might have seen a little montage how it was blowing bulwark shells completely out of the sky with little effort. It is best to show you, methinks. Where is the... yeah, it's got a big LAM system inside it. So, right there, more, I think it's got big engine back there. I think it has more than one, actually. Yeah, here's the other one. So I believe this LAM's in the front, if I'm any judge, is the anti-cram one, because it's got a lot more pumps on it. And I believe this one in the middle is the burst LAMs that Wait. We can be clever, man. We can look at the freaking thing. Okay, so where is it? Where is it? It's the coupler. Where's the controller? Nope. Where is it? Oh, it's down here. Is it? I don't know. Russell, where have you hidden your important laser bits? I want to know. Arg. Couple of laser connector, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm good. It has 2 lamp systems, one for missiles, one for big shells. And speaking of big shells, this thing has an impressive array of ammunition. So in the main turrets, it has, I believe, squash heads, shape charge, and disruptor, and these adorable little flat guns. Let's hop over to the Wyvern, and let's throw the Wyvern into reverse. Can she even go in reverse? No, she can't. Can she? J. She can go into reverse. Let's get her back to your friend over there. So yeah, these adorable little flat guns on the side are apparently mostly for decoration, but they happen to be loaded with little flak shells, little flak frag shells, and they actually do pretty well against little drones. So against the Twin Guard, this thing is solid gold. And because of the mixture of warheads in here, so it's got, let's see, what's in here? It's got shape charge frag, which is quite interesting. It's got disruptor smoke, and it's got frag squash. So, quite the intriguing mix of shells in there, and basically means that eventually this thing will fire the shell that it's meant to fire. So, if you go in here, I believe you got all the shells in here, and these are all mixed ammo, which is time-consuming to do, but if you know what you're doing, it is completely worth it. I believe the Python had a similar arrangement. So, what else? Dun. One thing that intrigues me about the Wyvern, and this is why it's such a good thing to look at other people's ship designs, because I could not make a ship like this in a million years. If I tried, it might end up functioning in a similar way, but it wouldn't look the same, or vice versa. So, intriguing thing about this is that it's its approach to defense, and basically that means it is a very tough nut to crack, but once you're through the outer edge, it is squishy on the inside. So it's very compact, in other words. And for those of you who have who watch my stuff, you'll notice that my ships are tanky in a very different way. They tend to be, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Rather than impenetrable, they tend to be resilient, as they take damage, but it takes a lot to actually kill them. And that's just because they're like spongy things of wood and stone, with vital components either having lots of redundancy or being in a hard-to-reach spot. This thing is an armored walnut, and most things can't crack the outside of the nut, but if they can, then the squishy innards are vulnerable. But anyway, so on to comparing and contrasting. What can either of these ships do better? Well, the first thing for the Octavia, actually, let's look at the turret Tetris of this, and we'll see that it actually has the ammo on the turrets as well. And this is incidentally something I do myself. It's just it's a quick way to slap turrets down without mucking around with the just setting up what guns fire what. You can just slap the gun down anywhere. Well, you can build the gun somewhere else and then just slap it on the ship anywhere. I tend to do that with secondary weapons, but so yeah, not the cheapest thing, because it's a little bit of overkill to kind of have different the same ammo customizer on every single turret. But regardless, this thing has a lot of coolers, I've just noticed, and it uses solid ammo clips. But the important bit is up here. This is an issue for this, because there is a reason why when you build turrets it's a good idea to have an armored collar, because in my tests with the Octavia, multiple times what would happen is that the turret cap gets sheared off completely, simply because fragmentation or an explosion wraps around in here, into this little space, and severs these two connections. And as I believe, yeah, 120 and 5 health and armor, these things are not durable. And in this particular case, it would cost absolutely, well, it'd be entirely worth putting a little collar in here. So you just, let me show you what I mean. Just go here. Just that one. That's not what I wanted. So here. So I'm gonna go up here, and here's the collar. So if you just do something like this. There, suddenly this craft has a much more durable turret neck of the turret, because suddenly it means that this won't fall off just because these two little cooling units have been severed. They have to get through a few layers of metal as well. So that is highly recommended, just to stop the top of your turret falling off, and also to stop explosions frag getting inside the turret itself. So, what else is the thing? Let's hop back on the Octavia so we can talk about it properly. This ship does have a lot of exposed wireless receivers. It's got one up here. It's got another one. Oh, that's different. It's got one over there. It's got one over there. Don't blame me for that. Don't blame me for that though, because I do that myself. Here, here, and here. That is a risk. Especially with, I believe, these ones here. Yeah, honestly, putting that thing just inside the deck is just, it's an insurance policy more than anything else, because if it is out here, these things are incredibly fragile. Why did I do that? That was the wrong button. So we see the health of these things, 75 and 1. That is nothing. So timed frag or even flak will easily trim this off, and then these 3 munition warners will not work. So hide your delicate bits as much as possible. Same up here. And also this craft has a weird habit of, you'll notice that one more time, why am I never doing that right? You'll notice that it has the processing cards like kind of exposed and out. Again, this is in the mast, which is not an easy target to hit for the most part, but better to keep that safer somewhere, I'd say. Like, putting it off to the side right here and kind of wrapping it in metal, or even just wood. Just so there's one extra thing between it and your ability, the ability of your craft to actually see anything. So that is a thing. One thing I didn't mention about this, like you might have seen in the montage I took of these crafts, is that this thing has rear ammo compartments. That is a smart idea. I don't think that's the only... Yeah, it has 3 separate ones, actually. This is a good move because the best way to fool enemy craft trying to lead their shots is to put it at the back of your craft. And I discovered this annoyingly well. You'll see it in faction craft, like pretty much anything that moves really fast tends to have the ammunition right at the back. Sometimes, like, exposed and just an ammo box on the back, something like... Where is it? Something like this. And that is entirely just to fool guns that are shooting at it. So yeah, that's a prop right there. And as you might have seen before, sometimes this craft shoots itself. I'm not sure why it does that. It doesn't do that often. Also, the turrets have Mickey Mouse ears. That's interesting. Oh, another exposed transmitter or receiver. Bad. Incidentally, there's nothing in these little Mickey Mouse ears, so to speak, so I think they're entirely decorative. If which so, well, cool. Who am I to argue? So back to the Wyvern, and the Wyvern is quite a classy craft, so what could it possibly do better? It does a number of things that the Octavia does not, I should mention, so what is it? For one thing, it has armored turrets, or at least somewhat armored turrets. The Octavia does not, so again, this is a durability thing. The Wyvern is designed to be quite tanky. Still got an exposed bit up here though, but at the very least it doesn't look like explosions can immediately reach the autoloaders. Incidentally, the Wyvern's guns don't use clips. These are pure autoloader cannons. And so it's got armored here, armored there, armored everywhere. And also a slightly thicker turret neck. Still not really with a collar though, which is, again, this is better than nothing. Like 9 cooling vents are better than just 2, especially since they're all very close together. So what else? This craft, despite Razul's best efforts, still has a habit of showing its bum to the enemy, and that's to do with the broadside settings, and is almost unavoidable if you have a minimum range on it somewhere. So where is the main eye? I believe it is around here somewhere. Somewhere it is around here. There it is. There it is. So it's gone. There we go. So bump 75. Broadside minimum range 250. If your craft has a minimum broadside range, no matter what, it will turn tail and run when enemies get too close. This is pretty much unavoidable, and it's one of the most irritating things about naval AI in From the Depths. And it's to the point where actually virtually none of my craft have minimum ranges, except those which are very fast and or airborne, because in general, especially if something is as tanky as this, I would say it's better to keep facing broadside where like all the shields and armor is, rather than turning your bum on them, having few of your weapons aiming at them, and just less shielding and less protection. So I have mentioned to Razul that he should try it with like no minimum broadside. I have no idea if he's done that. I have no idea if he wants to do that. That's just a suggestion. Look at this radar dish. So anyway, that is, and in contrast to the Octavia, and this is something I've learned the hard way, is that this craft has a lot of ammo, but there's a price for having a lot of ammunition in that the kind of middle of the ship is a bit of an explosive death trap. There's a lot of ammunition and it is very close to the center of mass. That is not good, and I've noticed that the Wyvern tends to eat a lot of fire, which is just as well. It's got really good shields, lambs, and armor because it needs it. It does not dodge shots easily, even crams. If the lamb system is down, crams have very little difficulty hitting it with aim point selection because, well, here's all the ammo. It's in the middle of the ship. It does have AI cores, I believe, scattered all over the place as well. It has a lot of AIs. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 AI. So this thing is not easy to... it's not easy to snipe this thing's brains out, I should say. So, yeah, and I mentioned before that this craft is very well defended. Good armor, good shields, good lamb system, good active defenses. I believe it even has... where is it? It even has... what's this? What the hell? Missile interceptor. It's even got little torpedo interceptor things. So, yeah, I'm not allowed to take credit for that, but I think I... oh dear, Razul, you missed a paint job. Tee-hee. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so, between the two of these ships, they make quite a clever design. Both are very cool looking, both are pretty tanky, both... I set these things fighting each other, it took bloody ages for any of them to win, but the Wyvern won because it has smoke shells that could shut down the lambs of the Octavia, and the Octavia's missile-heavy strategy does not work against the absolutely brutal lamb system on the Wyvern, so... yeah, between the two of these ships in a straight fight, the Wyvern wins. But in a weird way, the Wyvern is kind of an attrition fighter. Like, attrition fighter, this has got to be... it's a tanky vessel. It's designed to take punishment and kind of chip away reasonably slowly at an enemy's health, because it only has kind of 3 turrets. They don't fire super fast. They don't fire incredibly fast. It kind of chips away bit by bit with a bit of hash, a bit of heat, a bit of high explosive here and there, so a few torpedoes, a few missiles up here, and it's basically, its strategy is to survive is to basically outlast the opponent, which it does very well. There's not many ships that can match it. My own Skilla can match it, but then again, the Skilla is a floating gun raft, which I had to improve a lot in order to take this thing on. So, well done, Razul, there. The Octavia is less tanky, and is more... You can see the armor is like... Let's see here, let's see. Let's just compare and contrast the armor of these two things, just at the hull line. It's got metal, metal, stone, nothing, so that's not bad armor, but it could be better. So here, metal, air gap, metal, wood, air gap. So if this thing gets hit in the side, it cannot take nearly as much punishment as the Wyvern, which kind of goes the whole hog with armor. I believe over here, where's an ammo storage? Where is it? There, here's one. So, to shoot at that ammo, you have to get through metal, metal, alloy, heavy armor, alloy, one air gap, heavy armor again, another alloy, and then, well, that, and then, only then, are you actually hitting ammunition. Whereas, over on the Octavia, I'm switching back and forth between them. Let's look at the armor here. I believe the armor is thicker on the rear a bit. So, to get to that ammo compartment, you need to go through a layer of metal, a layer of metal, a layer of metal, air gap, heavy armor. So, not nearly as much as the Wyvern. This thing, despite appearance and despite being a bit more expensive than the Wyvern, this is 184,733 materials. The Wyvern is 162,479 resources. This thing is not as tanky, not nearly. The LAM system isn't quite as powerful, and it's not as well armored. This is an Alpha Strike craft, and it's got loads of missiles, it's got, I think its guns, I can't remember if its guns fire faster than the Wyverns. I think they do. I think they're also bigger as well. And of course it's got this, which to me is the main feature of this craft, is this ludicrous torpedo volley, which if a craft doesn't have good torpedo defense, it will die when fighting this thing. And what else? So for the Octavia, I recommend armored turret necks, hide your wireless receivers, and add smoke guns to it, because that's the main reason it loses in a fight against the Wyvern, is because the Wyvern has smoke, the Octavia does not, or at least smoke guns. And also smoke guns would work very well, because when I was testing it against ships with LAMs, anything with a LAM system tends to destroy this torpedo barrage, which isn't good because it's actually one of the main sources of firepower for the ship, so you need smoke in order to shut LAMs down so the torpedoes can really do their work, and also so the missiles can do their work. So you just, that's pretty easy. You just mix, you just change, well, one of these. So you could really, you could swap like one of the warheads on here for smoke, and you're most of the way there, honestly. I've been actually testing out heat smoke shells, and they work surprisingly well. For the Wyvern, I would say don't bother with minimum range. That actually hurts the craft, because it just shows its vulnerable little backside to the enemy. What else? Apart from that, and like centralize, I would recommend sticking more of the ammunition in the back of the craft, but I realize that is a tremendous overhaul and would require shifting this enormous engine somewhere else. In fact, would that even fit in the middle? It would. I would recommend swapping that engine in these ammo compartments, because in there, like, this craft should be able to dodge shots a lot better than it does. It certainly moves fast enough in order to do that. But yeah, that's basically these two ships. I like both of them. I hope you do too. Well done, Xenodragon and Razul, for sending these ships in. And of course, we're gonna have to make them fight, because there'd be no justice in this world if we did not do that. So, what's something missile spammy? This. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. If my voice sounds a little hoarse, I don't... Ah, my flatmate is sick and I might have just caught it, so blech. Dun-dun-dun-dun, and here's the Wyvern. Do-do-do. What have I forgotten to say just while I'm here? Yeah, my subscriber craft designs folder is getting rather big. It's rather lovely, actually. I'm touched. What could you do? Let's go Grey Talons, even though the Grey Talons don't have boats. So, where you go, lads? So, also the Wyvern has very pretty traces. And a lamb strong enough to deal with APS as well, which is yet another reason for smoke on the Octavia. I might test that, actually, see if sticking smoke on the Octavia... So you see right there, like, smoke on the Octavia is already making this life very difficult, and that big torpedo barrage, which arcs up in the air so beautifully, will likely get shredded by the lambs a bit. So you see right there, boom, 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 boom. Ah, it got closer than I remembered, actually. It actually managed to reach it. Oh yeah, the Wyvern also has reverse gear, which is unusual. I think most people recommend against having a craft that... Wow, that thing twerks. Most people tend to recommend against having a craft that does that, because as you can see, this back gun here actually is having trouble firing. Yet another reason to, well, get rid of reverse gear and get rid of the minimum broadside range, unless you really have a plan involved. So these ships are gonna fight for bloody ages, so I'm not gonna record the... I think it took like these ships like 20 minutes or something to kill each other last time. Yeah, so both are quite tanky. The Octavia isn't quite as tanky as the... Yeah, you can see, the Octavia is taking damage, but also repairs quite fast. So yeah. Actually, wow, the Octavia looks really cool in Steel Strider's colors. So yeah, look at that torpedo arc. I think that looks awesome. Wait a minute. Oh no, that's the front of the thing, isn't it? What the? I need to double check those torpedoes again, because I think they actually fire up there. And let's see this torpedo barrage. Get eaten alive by all those little lamb nodes. Yep. Did I mention I hate lamb systems? Laser anti-munition defense? Because I do. I really do. Because missiles and crams are my favorite things in the world. Oh wow, that was a big hit. Ouch. Wow, it's even getting close enough for the... Yep, and there goes the ammo on the Octavia. That's pretty much the beginning of the very long, slow end. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And Razul and Xenodragon, if I've missed something about your craft that needs saying, like how the Wyvern can take on a bulwark, or how the Octavia, I don't know, is named for, I don't know, how the Octavia has a Latin name? Who knows? What the hell? Oh my goodness. The Wyvern's rolling. Nope, don't shut off the cameras yet. This is interesting. The Wyvern also has a PID. What happened here? Is the game derping on us? I think it is. Oh boy, that's not good. And the Octavia is also fully healed as well. This fight is, I think I'm gonna finish watching the rest of this fight, but I will see all of you lot in the next video. Farewell!